I have a 2004 XLE Camry with a 2.4-liter engine in it. She's been an absolutely wonderful car, but as I rapidly approached the 200,000-mile mark, she's been wanting me to spend more quality time with her in the garage. This week, we had a problem with acceleration. While pressing down on the accelerator pedal, the car would completely ignore the top end and the bottom end of the pedal position, but it would sluggishly respond to the middle position. So in this video, I'm going to show you what I did to fix this problem. As a troubleshooting starting point, I took my error code of P2122 and looked it up on the internet. Skynet returned the following result. It could be the throttle position sensor, the accelerator position sensor, and the wiring in between the two. Oh, it also briefly mentioned it could be a bad computer, but since that would be so expensive to replace, I live comfortably in denial with the fact that that's not the problem. So, where are these parts? The throttle position sensor, sometimes called the TPS, is located way down here behind all this stuff. This black thing with the connector mounted on it is the TPS sensor. Toyota, in their kindness, made it part of the throttle body, so you have to change the whole part out. And to do that, you have to remove everything that's above it. So let's see if we can find a sensor that's easier to change. How about the pedal position sensor? Yeah, that's easy to get to. Let's go with that one instead. Since this car absolutely has to be reliable, I'm going to go ahead and change both parts anyway. But, spoiler alert, it seems like the pedal position sensor actually fixed the problem. I'll change that part in this video, and then the throttle body in the next video. Toyota told me they wouldn't sell me just the sensor. They wanted me to buy the whole $700 foot pedal. Pretty sure that's not happening, so I went straight to the sensor vendor and bought it there. And here's the throttle body that I'm going to be changing in the next video. None of my Toyota maintenance schedules say I have to clean this, but the people on the internet said you have to clean it every 30 or 40,000 miles. Since I'm at 200,000 miles, I'm probably a tad overdue on cleaning or replacement. Before we get too excited changing parts, let's check the fuses and see if this thing's getting power. My owner's manual says I want fuse 21, ETCS Electronic Control Throttle System. However, if you look at the fuse description, it says it's a multi-port fuel injection blah blah blah. Well, all of these fuses have the exact same description. I'm pretty sure they have nothing to do with that sensor, but we'll check them anyway since they're easy. For example, fuse number 11, ST, is a starter. I don't think you'll have power there unless you're starting the engine. The Camry has two fuse boxes, one under the driver's dash and one under the engine hood. Today, we'll be checking these fuses. The fuse box is right next to the battery. Written on the inside of the cover, you'll find a list of all the fuses in that box. The main one I'm actually looking for is right here. Remove the fuse, make sure it's good. Verify your ignition switch is in the on position but not started. Then use a multimeter to verify that power is making up to the fuse. Oh, here's a neat little factoid I didn't show in the video. There's two little holes on top of each fuse. If your probe tip is small enough, you can actually check the fuse at each of those holes. You should have 12 volts at both of them, and if you do, you know you got both power and the fuse is good. Let's remove the pedal so we can change the sensor. To make this easier, I removed the seat. See the link above on how to do that. Removing the connector. The pedal is held into place by two really long bolts, 10 millimeters. Remove the two bolts. You don't need to worry about anything being spring-loaded here. That pedal is a self-contained unit that comes out very easily. I wanted to check continuity on this sensor to see if it was bad. I found this website, which was pretty freaking awesome. Unfortunately, he didn't mention what type of car he's working on, but he made up for it by mentioning there's two sensors inside. They're both potentiometers, and the readings between the two sensors should correlate to each other. That's actually more than enough information to troubleshoot with. Here's the connector to the pedal position sensor. The first potentiometer is these 3 pins, with the output being this one right here. The second potentiometer will be these 3 pins. Its output will be right here. Let's take a look at a sample of how I measured this stuff. Here, I'm connected between these two pins. When you push down the pedal, you can see the values changing. With the new sensor, this is what the values read. You'll notice the top two are low, so they correlate, and the bottom two are high, so they correlate. When you push the pedal, the values change. The top two go high, and the bottom two go low. These sensors are basically backups for each other. Now, the values on the sensor that used to be in the car, you can see both the bottom ones are high, but when you measure the top ones, one is high and one is low. There's no correlation there, so this is a problem. When I pressed the pedal, both top ones went high, and the bottom ones went low, kind of. You notice the reading on the right-hand side is way higher than the left. That's actually bad. When dealing with electronic components, a plus or minus 10% error is normal. Anything above that, you may have an issue. So, using a multimeter, I believe I've confirmed this sensor is bad. The metal sensor is held on by two nuts. I couldn't find a single metric tool that would fit these things. So, I used my calipers and measured them, did a cross lookup on the chart above, and found out it was 9/32, not metric. Luckily, I had a socket in that size. While loosening the nuts, I found there was almost no torque on them, or the torque setting was way below anything that I can actually measure with my torque wrench. So using a Sharpie, I marked both nuts so I could put them back to the same position I took them out on. Before you remove this sensor, take a picture of how it's mounted on this part, specifically how much slot is showing underneath each nut. When I loosened the second nut, the whole sensor shifted. Uh-oh. Is there a possibility this thing was put in a calibrated position? It's a really good thing I took that picture before I loosened it. Let's install the new sensor. I tried to catch the installation from both angles to try to clarify how it happens. Once the sensor is in place, pull up your picture of how the old one was mounted. Try to get it as close as possible to the picture. Then gently tighten the nuts. Remember, there's not a lot of torque here. Installing the pedal, pretty simple. 2 bolts and 1 connector. I couldn't find a specific torque on these bolts, but the Haynes manual has this general torque requirement, saying a 10mm bolt goes between 28 and 40 foot-pounds when it's dry. Don't forget to hook up the connector. The new sensor is going to need to be calibrated so your computer can read it properly. With the key in the on position, but the car not started, you want to slowly push down and release the pedal several times. This will give the computer an idea of the full range of travel of this sensor. While doing this, I found out another little factoid. The design of this pedal and the carpet means you can't push the pedal all the way down because the carpet interferes with it. Since I never intend on pushing it that far, I guess it really doesn't matter. After you're done, turn off the key and wait 3 minutes. Well, here's the moment of truth. Let's get it started. In the beginning, the computer's going to run your RPMs pretty high because it's trying to recalibrate everything. So you want to let the engine idle for about 5 minutes. Here's a couple screenshots of the RPM as I idled the car. You can see it's steadily going back down to normal. Finally, I get a push on the pedal. My earlier symptoms were the pedal did not respond at the beginning of the push and at the very end of the push. Now it seems to be responding all the way through the full range. If you want to get really picky, it does look like there's a slight hesitation when I push the pedal, but it is responding. And I found out all of that hesitation completely went away once I got this thing on the road. I had to go out and drive it at different speeds for about 20 minutes, including a little bit of time on the freeway. While testing this, you'll notice that your engine light is still on. You've got a whole bunch of stored fault codes in there. You need to clear them. My preferred method is use the code reader. Hook it up, follow the menus, and you can clear the codes. Thanks for watching.